Dandadan Season 2 picks up right where we left off, with Momo finding herself in an absolutely not safe for work pinch as a group of dirty old men get creepy with her inside the onsen. On the other hand, our main boy Okarun and Jiji have just discovered the freakiest glory hole this side of the Japanese mainland inside of Jiji's house. Well, it's payoff time as Momo uses her psychokinetic powers to fend off the pruny old perverts at the bathhouse. Our girl barely makes it by the skin of her teeth, but she ultimately gets to safety when cops come busting in. Don't get your hopes up though, because all these uniformed officers do is pretty much just introduce us to who this gang of dirty old men are. If you're wondering, these Diddy-style party animals are men who belong to the Keto family. More on these assholes later. Back at Jiji's house, our boys cover up the hole in the wall when a group of rude biddies arrive. This flock of fugly hens is led by their matriarch Naki, who's, basically an evil East Asian Richard Simmons. Oh, and these boner killers also happen to belong to the Keto family, so, yikes, and meanwhile, Momo tells herself she's not gonna let those D-bags from the onsen ruin her vacation, so she pays the town shrine a visit after learning she might see a Tsuchinoko there. And for all you non-weebs out there, the Tsuchinoko is this mythical snake from Japanese folklore. Anyway, Momo meets the shrine's priest, Manjiro, a super cool dude who regrets his career choices because being an influencer pays better than working as a Shinto spiritual leader. But when Momo gets to see the alleged Tsuchinoko, our girls are like, "Are you sure this isn't a used condom?" And Manjiro's all like, "Pretty sure it isn't. Besides, do I look like I pull?" Touche, unibrow. Touche. Momo heads back to Jiji's house after realizing this otherwise idyllic town kinda sucks ass, only to discover that the Ketos have taken her two favorite boys hostage. The dirty old bastards from the onsen are there too, because come on, of course they own the cops. A fight ensues, and everyone eventually crashes into the hole in the wall to discover a sprawling ancient abandoned village in the underbelly of Jiji's house and the entire town. But the even weirder part is when we discover that a gigantic serpentine creature also lives in the place. Now, the Keto clan has had a long history with the creature, as we learned that their family has been worshipping the moist, slithery thing for centuries. In fact, the Keto have appointed themselves as the entire town's guardians, protecting the place from the giant snake's wrath using good old-fashioned human sacrifices. This time, the Ketos are angling to sacrifice our three protagonists to their god. On the other hand, Okarun knows that this creature is actually just another cryptid called the Mongolian Deathworm, and just to prove that the Ketos have been worshipping the wrong god all along, the Deathworm gobbles them up during the whole debacle. Momo, Jiji, and Okarun hide out in one of the dilapidated buildings within the ancient metropolis, but the Deathworm does some hoodoo on the kids, which forces Okarun to change into his turbo granny form. Not only that, but the Deathworm's influence turns Okarun and Momo into a couple of emo kids. Thankfully, Jiji comes up clutch and rescues the two before they can shuffle off the mortal coil. This, however, leads Jiji to meet a yokai, known as the Evil Eye, which happens to be like kryptonite to the Deathworm. Meanwhile, Momo and Okarun mobilize to continue fighting the freaky deaky creature while Jiji goes on a vision quest. The hot footballer learns Evil Eye's origin story, and we hope you have some tissues ready because it's sadder than a BTS fanboy finding out that the Los Angeles Lakers came up with the purple and gold color scheme first. You see, Evil Eye was a boy among the human sacrifices that the Keto clan offered up to the Deathworm centuries ago. And you know what, guys? You can easily tell this family is full of unforgivable C-words when they choose to treat the kid like garbage before literally feeding him to the flames. Good Lord, he's literally saving everyone's ass Jesus style, and you wouldn't even give the kid 3 square meals a day? That's fucked up. Jiji's vision quest allows him to learn that Evil Eye's spirit lingered long after his death. Over the centuries, the kid's soul became witness to the countless atrocities that the Keto did to other children, which ultimately turned him into a vengeful yokai. Jiji, on the other hand, proves he's perfect Oni-chan material when he attempts to appease Evil Eye's soul by promising to be his big bro from now on. But you don't get the name Evil Eye by not being, a big fat fucking meanie head, so the kid possesses Jiji instead. Jiji transforms into a 3-eyed Ken doll with super juju powers, which scares the living shit out of the Deathworm. Momo and Turbo Granny spot Jiji's transformation. They think he's hot, but Turbo Granny tells our heroine to keep it in her pants because Evil Eye isn't on their side. Jesus Christ, his name's Evil Eye. How many more clues do you need? In fact, Evil Eye immediately proves how evil he is when he sets himself upon Momo after dealing with the Deathworm. So, Okarun is prompted to defend this woman's honor. Our two heroes manage to gain some distance from Evil Eye, but as they say, out of the frying pan and into a sizzling hellscape. That's because the death worm has gotten all kinky and decided to spit its acidic saliva all over the place. In turn, Momo and Okarun come up with the 1,000 IQ plan to blow a hole through the roof of this underground city to toast the death worm, since shut-ins don't do well in sunlight. The duo soon gets down to business, with Okarun tasked with helping free Jiji of Evil Eye when Momo works to give the death worm some much-needed vitamin D. So our nutless hero faces off with the shaftless spirit, but Okarun soon gets his ass handed to him because 1, Evil Eye knows how to deal with leapy leaps and flippy flips, and 2, Okarun doesn't really know how to bang. But in true shonen manga fashion, Okarun digs deep and mounts an effective counterattack against Evil Eye after the spirit starts making threats about Momo, proving that nothing motivates a teenage boy better than the prospect of losing Tang. The effort forces Okarun to transform back into his sort of useless human form, but our boy's a trooper, so he even tries to save Turbo Granny from this acidic hell pit. Of course it doesn't work, and the two of them get trapped in this godforsaken place. On the other hand, Momo manages to force the death worm above ground. It gets exposed to sunlight, and the death worm gets drier than your crush when they find out about your internet search history. I mean, seriously, dude, like, come on. Here's the kicker, though. Taking out the death worm ignites a volcanic eruption in the town, and as Naki tells Momo, why do you think we were burning kids alive these past few centuries? Now everybody gets burnt. Thanks a lot, you fucking dummy. But Momo's all, whoopsie. Oh wait, sorry, gotta save my boyfriend and that foul-mouthed cat. Shortly after, Momo shows us that she's the kind of girl every incel hates when our heroine makes moves to prevent the entire town from becoming extra crispy. She does this by desecrating the death worm's corpse and using it as a humongous fire hose to spray spit-infused onsen water on the encroaching lava. Naki and her creepy clansmen try and stop Momo from saving the town, but Manjiro arrives on the scene to help deal with these dumb cultists. Oh, and Manjiro turns out to actually be one of Seiko's disciples. Our heroes aren't completely out of the woods yet, however, because now Evil Eye has recovered and basically turned into 2022 Josh Naylor. The man wants all that smoke, is what we're saying. Evil Eye dunks on everybody, and it only stops when Seiko, our old pale papa mantis shrimp, Chiquitita, and horny anatomical model Taro arrive just in time to suppress Evil Eye's spirit within Jiji. Long story short, they Deus Ex Machina the out of things, and things work out in the end. Oh, and does it work out nicely for Momo and Okarun as the two lovebirds continue to stock up that sexy romantic tension when the dust settles. Later, our gang of heroes go back home and have one of their classic celebratory spreads. Ira's there for some reason too, because the ISA household is that one house everybody hangs out at. During the spread, Seiko and Manjiro try and come up with a way to help Jiji free himself from Evil Eye, but all this deliberation only allows our heroes to realize that Jiji and Evil Eye have this whole Ranma half thing going on between them. You know the one. Except, instead of turning into a smoking hot redheaded girl, Jiji just turns into a smooth crotch problem when he's exposed to cold water. The dinner party ends and the kids, except for Jiji, decide to walk Mr. Manishrimp and Chiquitita home. Mr. Manishrimp's all like, please, Mr. Manishrimp is my dad. You can call me Peeny Weenie. It's more dignified that way. Not long after, the gang pays Jiji's folks a visit in the hospital, and Momo and Okarun have a moment. Somewhere else, we learn that Naki's still alive as she escapes police custody. Oh, and Naki's not really human. It turns out she's a literal monster wearing an ugly-ass human suit. Our heroes have another nice dinner at the ISA house where Okarun accidentally drops soy sauce on Jiji. He transforms into Evil Eye, and the meal's ruined. Good times. But things take a hopeful turn when they manage to splash hot water on Evil Eye before he can do more damage. Our hunky boy transforms back into his normal human self. Even better, the priests that Seiko contacted to help exorcise Evil Eye from Jiji have finally arrived. And these motherfuckers are cool as hell because they're a group of Visual K themed clergymen collectively known as Hayashi. Oh, and if you're not familiar with Visual K, it's basically like glam rock except cooler, like way cooler. Like, hold on, let me wipe. Oh, okay. So Seiko and Hayashi make the necessary preparations to perform the exorcism, and by exorcism we mean Hayashi brings the mother flippin' house down with a heavy metal song that slaps so hard it literally awakens the spirits resting at the shrine cemetery. In any case, Hayashi and the gang proves that the metal will always beat the forces of evil, as they almost successfully exorcise Evil Eye from Jiji. Author's note, that's Almost. That's because Jiji's a good guy right down to the core. He knows that Evil Eye already had a shitty life, so he doesn't want the poor kid to have an equally shitty death. Jiji pleads with Seiko to stop the exorcism, and anime's hottest grandma complies. In turn, they strike a deal to help Evil Eye become less of a maniac by helping Jiji control his powers instead. The same night, Jiji and Okarun have some bro time, and the two boys become closer to each other. The next day, our heroes, sans Jiji, who's busy training with Seiko at the Ayase household, go to school. Momo decides to help her grandma rebuild their house after Evil Eye tore it up last night. And soon enough, Okarun learns that Momo is 100% wife material when her best friends, Miko and Muko, take him to her place of business, a maid cafe. Momo gets a first-hand experience of the dark side of capitalism, but our girl makes it through her first shift no problem. More sparks fly when she spots Okarun just outside the maid cafe, waiting to walk her home. Young love. While this is happening, Seiko gets further evidence that Jiji is a true blue spiritual power protege when our guy learns how to control Evil Eye in such a short period of time. However, crap soon hits the fan when Ira accidentally spills her ice-cold drink on Jiji, which then causes Evil Eye to emerge. Evil Eye nearly chokes out our heroine, but Momo manages to spit hot water in his face. Jiji returns to normal, but he's absolutely traumatized. So much so that he starts staying away from the rest of the gang. The pity party continues as this whole episode makes him realize that, yeah, he's kinda useless in a fight. So Turbo Granny does our boy a solid and gives Okarun nighttime training at their school. Ira tags along because that's what happens when you're a nerdy boy next door who's just oozing with sex appeal. Their training session is cut short, however, when Beethoven and his gang of composers attack our heroes and take them to an empty space. A fight ensues, and both Ira and Okarun soon find themselves outpaced, outperformed, and outmelodied by the gang of ghostly composers. Turbo Granny's all like, you know why you keep getting your ass kicked? And Okarun's all, because I'm a pacifist with tons of love in my heart? No, because you're a rhythmless spaz with half a nut in your sack. Get some music in your soul, kid! Okarun takes Turbo Granny's advice, and once again, Dandadan shows that there's no problem that metal can't solve. Hell, Okarun even unlocks his hidden yokai potential during this whole ordeal. Long story short, Beethoven and his pals get flatlined, and the gang goes back to the Ayase household. There, Seiko's pupil, Manjiro, tells the hot priestess that they have no choice but to call on Hayashi for one more gig to deal with Evil Eye permanently, but Momo isn't having any of it. On the other hand, the encounter with the ghostly composers has given our main boy Okarun an ego boost, so he tries to start some smoke with Evil Eye. Jiji's not so sure about this insane plan, but he eventually relents since it's either this or another hard, sweaty banger from Hayashi that would end up killing Evil Eye. But let's not forget, people, Okarun's no meathead. This whole dune with Evil Eye isn't just some pissing contest to, prove who's got the bigger supernatural pee-pee between them. The truth is, Okarun sprung this challenge on Evil Eye as a bargain, that he and Okarun can tussle once a week in exchange for Evil Eye not messing with anyone else. Okarun's gambit works, and the gang finally gets to move on from the problem. Not long after, Jiji's parents make a full recovery, while the rest of the gang work together to rebuild the Ayase house with help from a MacGuffin called Nanoskin, which Mr. Mantis, we mean the venerable Mr. Peeny Weenie, introduces to them. Later, the gang goes back to school, where Momo's best friends clue her in on what she suspects might be Okarun's other missing family jewel. That same day, Okarun comes across another one of his classmates, Kinta. Now, we don't want to get way ahead of ourselves here, but you should know that Kinta will soon become a mainstay in the series. Aside from that, Kinta's a kid who has Chunibyo syndrome, and we'll just leave it at that for now. We find out that Kinta has decided to worm his way into Okarun's social circle after he realized just how much pullage our main boy gets at school. This belief is only exacerbated when Kinta notices that their class rep Rin kind of has a thing for Okarun. This all happens when Momo storms into their classroom to talk to her boy about the lead she got concerning her missing ball, which Rin interprets as Momo bullying Okarun. Later that day, the dynamic duo follow up on this lead and visit an abandoned housing complex. Kinta follows them, and the sick chubby boy gets roped into the action when Okarun's supposed nut turns out to be a kaiju in disguise. On the bright side, Jiji and Ira manage to arrive just in time to help their friends, but the kaiju is too much of a problem. And if things aren't bad enough, our gang has to make sure that Kinta remains safe after getting his dumbass caught up in all the chaos. So, Momo orders Jiji to get Kinta as far away from the scene as possible, while she and the rest of the group deal with the kaiju. Our heroes lack the juice to take down the rampaging monster though, though. Plus, another problem arises when, just like any overweight kid who's suddenly forced to do laps around the quad, Quinta starts sweating and accidentally gets some of it on Jiji. Of course, this allows Evil Eye to emerge and threaten the gang with more havoc. Knowing they can't count on Evil Eye's help, Okarun comes up with a different plan to deal with the kaiju, to use the same nanoskin tech that helped them rebuild the ISA abode. You see, nanoskin is this doodad that can transform into anything you imagine. The problem is, Okarun lacks the imagination to properly wield it. But you know what kind of kid has the bonkers creativity to turn nanoskin into Play-Doh? Someone with Chunibyo syndrome, people. I wonder who that could be. So, Quinta takes over and uses the nanoskin to create a mecha that looks like Buddha, and turns the whole gang into his own Super Sentai team. But the Sentai team sucks ass. On one hand, they don't even know how to control their mech. On the other hand, Quinta comes up clutch and decides to take matters into his own mitts with a bit of motivation from his past. The names you used to call me: Lunchbox, Tubby, Fridge Fiend, Twinkie Butt. So Momo's like, dude, what? Nobody called you any of that. Like, literally nobody has heard of you until 3 episodes ago. I'll show you all! Quinta gets all psyched up as he conveniently learns how to control their nanoskin created mobile suit and take down the kaiju. The gang gets sent back to the real world after they scuffle, and hey, today's Quinta's lucky day because he even gets an eyeful of Momo and Ira afterwards. Meanwhile, the kaiju shrinks until it's more or less the size of an adult human. Okarun and Jiji bring the downed monster back to the ISA household, where they discover that it's not really a kaiju. It's, in fact, its own mech suit, which is piloted by another super attractive teenager with short blonde hair. Dandadan Season 2 ends with the girl in the kaiju mech suit waking up, and at this point we're not surprised when the first thing she does is land a wet one on our boy Okarun. Game is game! And that's it, guys. That's Dandadan Season 2 explained by Abaka. Thanks for sticking around. We hope you enjoyed watching the video as much as we did making it. You got any thoughts or theories or suggestions for other series you want us to cover? Just sound off in the comments section below. And please help us make more videos by giving this one a like, share, and subscribe to the channel with that notification bell turned on. We're sure you're gonna love the next one too, so feel free to check that one out. We'll see you real soon. For now, we dance!